Hello everyone. It's been a while since I've done a YouTube video for a while, but this is 4 True College Horror Stories. This is somehow by I forgot his name, but I think it's gonna be in the description below when I tell you. But this says at the bottom, scary college experiences. Let's see how scary this will be, but let's go, shall we?
Insular vibe.
Hold on.
Those in danger. Number 1.
The man on the couch.
This happened when I was in college. I lived in Isla Vista, the student community at UCSB, notorious for being a party school. It fully lived up to its reputation, I tell you that. I mean, I like to party, but holy shit, these people were off the wall. As such, there were a lot of people who put themselves in dangerous situations, drinking to excess, not being careful, not locking doors, etc. It had a very isolated and insular vibe, and anyone who was hanging around there who wasn't college-aged immediately looked out of place and strange. One night, after having a few drinks, I came home to my small house, where I lived with 2 other girls, probably around 2:30 in the AM. We were all serious students. I was probably the least serious, actually. And when we partied, it was not your typical UCSB mega rager. More like a small get-together with friends. We would often have a few people spend the night, sleeping on our furniture, or in our beds as the case may be. That night, my roommates had a few people stay over who I didn't know, and I saw when I returned home that one of them was sleeping on the couch. I could tell this from the shadow that I saw there. I didn't turn the light on so I wouldn't wake them up. As I was passing by the couch to enter my bedroom, I noticed that the figure was lying very stiff. He just had this weird energy to him. He was lying down, but it was like he was putting all his energy into lying as still and rigid as possible. I paused, and the guy quickly jerked his head to face me, without moving any of his limbs. He did this so quickly that it startled me. I could see his wide open eyes glinting in the dark.
Nope.
I figured that I'd startled him, or that he was drunk, or maybe on some kind of stimulant.
Yeah, drugs.
I just hurried past into my bedroom, and I locked the door. I fell asleep, but at around 4:30 AM, I woke up. There was a strange sound at my door, almost like somebody was strumming their fingers against the wood very quietly. I lay still and listened. There were more quiet sounds, like someone was scratching the door with their fingers, which got louder and louder, until it was clear that he was using both his hands and scratching as fast as he could. It created an extremely loud and intimidating sound that filled me with fear. I got my cell phone and texted my roommate because I was afraid to make a sound. "Your friend is freaking me out," I typed.
I'm gonna say this. When people sleep on the couch and all that, sometimes they lay normal, but this one, he said that the figure was laying so still and it was putting all of its energy into the couch. Like, you could see the figure right there, just laying on his head and all that, but I don't get it. Why was he lying so still? Because I'm pretty sure people would not get sleep like that. Just to say, though.
"Is he on coke? Can you talk to him? He's banging and scratching on my door." She didn't text me back, probably because she was sleeping. So I texted my other roommate to the same effect, covering all my bases. Keep in mind that the scratching has been going on at this point for a couple of minutes. I have no idea how he could have sustained it. Scratching a wooden door with your fingernails can't feel good.
It don't.
He also grabbed at my door handle and jiggled it super forcefully. Because neither of them answered, I decided to call and really wake them up, though I was scared to make a sound. I know it sounds stupid, but there was something seriously horrifying about being teased like this through the door. I knew that he was trying to terrify me. I felt like a little kid, but I could tell this guy was fucked up or something, and maybe the police needed to be called, and I wanted to loop my roommates in, since it was one of their friends. The scratching stopped abruptly, and I called my roommate, who answered sleepily. I said, "Your friend is messed up. Can you please deal with this? Do you need me to call the cops? He's seriously scaring me, and he was scratching at my door, really fucking weirdly." She didn't say anything for several seconds, and when she did speak, her voice had no sleepiness in it at all. "What friend?" I replied, "That fucking guy that was sleeping on the couch." She was quiet again. "We didn't have any guys over." She then said, "Call the police."
Oh, crap.
My adrenaline surged, and I told her to please lock her bedroom door as quickly as she possibly
Now
could.
that right there is really scary.
I realized that I hadn't heard the scratching in a while, and I had no clue where the dude had gone. Suddenly, I heard a loud banging in the other end of the house, where my roommates Lauren and Monica shared a room. The bangs were followed by the sound of them screaming in fear. I quickly dialed the police, as this maniac proceeded to bang against the luckily locked bedroom door of my two roommates as they screamed.
Oh, God.
The heaviness of the blows left no doubt that he was trying to break the door down. I told the 911 operator the situation, and she dispatched 2 squad cars. The police in Isla Vista are generally used to peeling drunks off the sidewalk and breaking up brawling frat bros. But this was really serious and strange, and I think the dispatcher got the sense from the tone of my voice how terrified I was, and she stayed on the phone with me. At one point, the banging stopped, and everything went quiet. I kept talking to the dispatcher, and suddenly looked down to see that this guy had slipped his fingers through the 1-inch gap between my door and the floor.
And that's when you definitely jump high as possible into the air, and you come down with a lot of energy with the emotion that you got in your hands and all that. But me, dude, I'm not gonna lie. If this guy had slipped his fingers right through my door, like right under the door, like under my bedroom door, I would have stomped the crap out of those fingers. Stomped them really hard and hear the guy howl in pain. So
and was
bad.
just kind of waggling them around, making this weird growling sound. I screamed and backed away, which is probably my biggest regret about this situation, since when I look back at it, it would have been awesome to just stomp the shit out of those fingers and hear the guy howl in pain.
Yes.
When the
Why
cops
would you
rolled up,
scream?
I heard running, and the sound of our sliding glass door opening and closing. And then he was gone.
Why would you
The
scream?
cops never caught him.
What? What?
He had broken in through our side door by jimmying the lock somehow. My door was covered.
Okay, now, okay, wait. Hold on, wait. Let me get this straight. Basically, the intruder slipped his fingers under the door, right? Why would you scream and back away? Why didn't you just stomp on the fingers? Just could have been boom, right there. Stomp on them as hard as you can. Use all of your foot strength. Put all your strength from your foot on those fingers. Put a whole lot of pressure on it. You screamed and backed away. Stomp on them. Crush them. Break them.
In what turned out to be huge scratches he'd made using a pair of scissors, which he had discarded on the ground before he left. What terrifies me most about this was that I walked right past him. I looked him right in the face. I realize now that he was not trying to sleep, and he was not on drugs, but he was lying there so stiff because he was hiding. He probably heard me open the door and freaked out because he hadn't realized there was someone else living in the house, and just tried to blend into the couch in the darkness.
What? trying to blend into the couch. What type of plan is that? Blend into the couch, really? Dude, that's like someone painting a house in all black. In a and you're blending what? What type of stupid bruh.
Number 2.
My roommate, Jim. Okay.
It was early September. I had just graduated from high school in June, so I was excited to start college. I decided to live on
nice
campus,
pictures.
and on September 4th, that's when I met Jim, my roommate. Jim was 22. He hadn't attended college until now. He always said he lived off the fat of his land, which were his weed crop up north, up until coming to college. Jim seemed like a cool guy. He and I both loved going to the gym. He was an absolute monster in the weight room. He looked like your average pseudo powerlifter, built like a brick shithouse. But Jim was always a very quiet and sweet guy. I can't be around weed because of medicine interaction.
Yeah.
So when he would smoke, he would risk his own arse and smoke out in the back of the dorm. Now, throughout the whole first semester, Jim was still a great guy, but he did end up growing some negative qualities. I'm not saying he became a bad person, but was instead adapting to his environment. After he and I went to our first college parties, he had strung together a group of 4 girlfriends, and none of them knew about each other. He was such a good liar, and I'm not just talking about being very convincing, but if I hadn't seen all of the girls with my own eyes, I would have believed that the girl of that night was his one and only.
That's right.
Then came Halloween. I came back to my dorm room around 11:30 at night, after being at another friend's costume party, to find Jim crying in bed.
Oh.
It was weird.
What?
I don't think he ever showed this much emotion before. So, I obviously asked him what was wrong. And he told me that one of the girls, Jessica, had been found with no hands or feet inside a cornfield people used to go and hang out at. Of course, I felt horrible. I decided I was going to try and make him feel better, so I ran into our bathroom to wash my face quick. But when I got in there, I could have sworn I saw Jim grinning from ear to ear as I left the room. Due to some privacy reasons, I will only tell you about Jessica. The press release that was let out was horrific. She had been found with her hands and feet cut off with what looked like a serrated saw.
Oh my
They
gosh.
also found corn husks shoved down her throat. Some pretty sick shit. Jim was never the same after Jessica's death. He started to completely skip his classes, drank heavily, spent insane amounts of time at the gym, and went up to his camp in the Adirondacks almost every weekend. This was also about the same time that the disappearances started to happen. It started with a young professor's aide. She'd been walking her dog in the neighborhood, not too far from the campus, when she went missing. They found her dog, hanged by its leash, on the aide's door. Then, 3 women that went bar hopping in downtown Syracuse disappeared. They found one of the woman's lip rings in the parking lot of the bar they were last seen. Then came possibly the most disturbing one. A pregnant woman was attacked and kidnapped from her own apartment in Pulaski. The only thing left at the scene was a handwritten note, which read, "I'm your baby's daddy now." A silent manhunt was on in my area. The biggest connection I should have made was after I told Jim that a group of 25 people said they would search every inch of upstate New York to find the pregnant woman. When I told him that, Jim began to get very paranoid and jumpy. His nice demeanor began to fade. He was just so angry all of the time. Things came together about a week and a half ago. It was Friday night, and Jim hadn't left to his camp yet, which was weird. It turns out that he was so blazed out of his mind, he had forgotten to leave. when he did go, I felt bad for letting him leave, but now I'm kind of glad I did. The next morning, a woman was found dead, face down, near a gas station. There was blood everywhere.
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie. Wow. This is not scary. This is really sad. Like, the first one was, the first story was, it was okay. It was not too scary. It was a little, yeah. But this one right here, this is sad. It's really getting me, man. Like, this is really, 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 really emotional to hear and all that. Like, woman dying, a pregnant woman, the dog got hanged by his own leash or her leash. Wow. That's really emotional to see. Wow.
The woman had her tongue ripped out of her throat. But there was a sort of silver lining. The idiot who had done this had left bloody footprints that led to a gas station bathroom. And you'll never guess who was in the bathroom. Of course,
Jim.
It was Jim.
Oh my God.
Jim has been in custody for about 5 days now. He admitted to nearly every single murder he committed, his first one having been on his 20th birthday. The police raided his camp upstate and found a real-life horror house. Women's bodies were nailed to the wall as trophies. He even turned 2 of them into fucking sex dolls. The sick fuck even bought a crib for, well, you know. Now, how do I know all this? The police have only told immediate family what has happened. But, luckily, I know a few officers. Plus, they kind of felt obliged to show me something. You see, Jim kept a journal at his camp, mostly describing all of his murders, but one entry from Halloween 2014 stood out in particular. This is what it read. Jessica found my kit in my trunk. It's a shame. I had a great spot for her. Made sure that nobody knew that she was going out with me. When police found her, I feigned tears for Dom. He's a great guy, easy to manipulate, but I'm still counting the days until he finally gets a girlfriend. I have never before been so happy to be single.
And please stay that way too.
Number 3.
Just another pretty girl, I guess.
I'm an 18-year-old American male, attending my first semester in college. Sitting in my math class, I noticed a girl that...
Alright, y'all. I'm ending this video here. That was too sad to hear. The second story was too sad. I really felt that. I really, really felt that. That was... wow. Wow. I can't believe he would do that. Remember, kids. And to teenagers, too. If you see a guy you like, but he may seem like your type, but almost not the type, think what he may do before you date him. Please. Because this is a lesson learned to teenagers and college students to know what it means to be dating and what like college stories mean like this. I only watched this because though this was really, really sad and emotional and all that, but wow, that roommate Jim was a really bad bastard, man. That was a bad person. But this was a good story and also really sad. I really liked number 2 more better because it really showed how emotional and how sad and how important this stuff can be. Like, that's way just wow. I never seen this stuff like this before. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, this is 4 true college horror stories. If you guys want to watch the original video, the link will be in the description down below. And as always, stay safe, my friends. Have a good night and stay safe.